Hello, everyone, and welcome to this in depth video of the changes that are going to impact us all from a perspective of employment, given the spread of the coronavirus and the changing dynamics this development has brought. And as you can see, I've shaved my head. I've done this as a tribute to all those salaried professionals who are being called non essential workers at this time. Because if this lockdown has taught me anything, it has taught me that we are all essential in some way. And shaving my head was just my way of paying tribute to the millions of people around the world who have been impacted by this global pandemic. The International Labour Organization projects that over 19.5 crore people, that's over 195 million people, are going to be impacted. Their employment is going to be impacted by this global pandemic. You see, I was watching the news a couple nights ago, and almost every channel on television was talking about how this disease has brought our lives and our economies to a near standstill. A major global recession is coming, and we as a species are not as prepared as we would like to be able to deal with it. Hi, you are with Savan Kapoor, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be covering the four areas that you need to understand with regard to how this pandemic will affect the job market. Namely, what I'm going to be talking to you about are four things. The first thing that I will talk about is the trends and the dynamics that this problem has given rise to. Now, the news is not all bad. And as it often happens with change of this magnitude, it is important to be able to adapt quickly. The second area I will talk about is the concepts that we need to embrace. Given that we are the most intelligent and the most pervasive species on the planet, it is up to us to understand how to adapt and bring about a solution that can restore some level of semblance to how we will live our lives going forward. The third area I will talk about will focus on the industries that have been affected negatively. And the fourth area is industries that are benefiting given the nature of what they do and how they do it. Okay, so let's dive in. So, the first area answers the question, what has changed? And here I have identified 10 powerful dynamics that you need to understand. The first dynamic is that this infection will impact physical social interaction. In recent weeks, we have all learned about things such as social distancing. So, what COVID 19 has done is that it has changed the very nature of physical social interaction. There is a very clear distinction now between the pre corona world and the post corona world, or what many gurus and pundits are labeling as the new normal. The world will come out of it, but it may not come up back to the same level of where it was with regard to social interaction, physical social interaction. The second dynamic I want you to understand is the rise of the work from home movement. In the new normal, what we do is going to be much more important than who we are. And it is important to recognize that the organization of skilled labor is going to change massively. The world is moving towards a variable cost structure from a fixed cost structure as it pertains to the workforce and to the salaries and wages people earn. And I will talk more about how to win in this scenario and what you can do in just a few minutes. Naturally, another trend that is the logical outcome of the corona pandemic and the global regulations on quarantine and lockdown is that internet usage is going through the roof. With all classes and businesses moving to online communication platforms, we have seen an unprecedented rise in the engagement and use of platforms such as Zoom, which in the last few weeks has gone from 10 million users or 1 crore users to over 300 million users or over 30 crore users. The fourth dynamic is that this problem has made people much more health conscious. Now, this is not only impacting things like personal hygiene, such as washing your hands and not touching your face or, wearing gloves and masks, but also it has brought people's attention back to the fact that we have only one body to live in. And we must take care of this body gifted to us for our use, in our lives. The fifth dynamic that has come about is that with reduced movement globally, the environment is benefiting and pollution has reduced. Recently, I read in the newspaper that Mount Everest became visible from a village in the Indian state of Bihar. Since the pollution that used to clog the skies has dissipated, as humanity is no longer burning fossil fuels at the same rate as they were before this pandemic got underway. The sixth area I want to highlight is that this global problem has brought about a shift in our priorities, especially for people who live in urban areas like big tier 1 and tier 2 cities, across the world. There has been a change of what we are focusing on. From being focused on things like the rat race that we endure every day, our priorities have shifted to ensuring that our basic needs are being met, that we have food, water, safe housing, and a cheerful atmosphere where we reside. And this change in priorities is connected to the seventh dynamic I want to bring to your attention, which is the rise of the family unit. I fundamentally believe that in this time of crisis, the family unit will emerge stronger, more close knit, and a lot of healing and restoration will occur. While not all families will benefit from being stuck together, for this extended period of time, the overall impact, I'm sure, will be one that is hugely positive. And since as families, we are not going out or spending our money on things like petrol or diesel or restaurants or luxury retail, our general expenses have dropped. And that is something worthy of noting. This problem has forced humanity to return to a simpler way of living. And I think that is something that was much needed. Though no one wishes that, this come about from such circumstances, but unfortunately, that is how things are at the moment. It took an infectious disease for us as a people to embrace a simpler way of life. The eighth dynamic we need to highlight is how educational delivery is changing and moving to an online forum. So that our children and their educational development does not fall behind, most schools and colleges have moved to the online medium of instruction. My daughter now takes her dance classes over Zoom, and my son is learning his school curriculum over Google Duo. These changes will have a long tail. That is, their impact will last long beyond the situation that created them. The ninth shift that has occurred is that food and entertainment has changed. Now we cannot go to the cinema hall or to an amusement park or to a restaurant, so we are eating home cooked food mostly, which is definitely healthier. And our entertainment is now over the internet, Netflix or YouTube, or playing simple board games with our family members at home. And our exercise regimen is also returning to what we can do without all the fancy gym equipment. And the last shift, the 10th dynamic I want to highlight, is that there is going to be fundamental changes to business models around the world. Impacted industries are going to have to think of ways in which they can adapt in the new normal, and there will be a lot of reinventing themselves that will now occur. So these are the 10 dynamics that I see that have changed. And a quick recap of them is: one, social interaction has changed; two, the rise of the work from home movement; three, the rise of internet usage; four, people becoming more health conscious; five, a cleaner environment and reduced pollution; six, a change in our priorities; seven, a tighter family unit and the reduction of expenses; eight, a move to online platforms in education; 9, simpler food and entertainment choices; and 10, which is last but not least, a reinvention of business models globally. So, this brings us to the second part of the video. And see, what I want you to understand is that all these dynamics that have shifted, if you look at the big picture, it is pretty clear that the world has changed forever. And how we live our lives going forward, will depend on how easily we are able to adapt, because adaptation is going to be key. Because right now, it's not going to be the survival of the fittest, it is going to be the survival of the quickest. The individuals who are able to change their lifestyles and adapt to the new normal the fastest are the ones who are going to stay most secure as we ride this wave of tremendous uncertainty. And all of this is going to force professionals to rise and become leaders. So it does not matter what industry or company you work for. The situation is going to force you to rise and show what you are made of. Because this is where Mother Nature has taken control. It is a correction that is driven by science and evolution and not by conscience and intelligence. So please note that these are the five big picture elements that are driving the 10 dynamics that I shared with you. And these five big picture elements again are: one, the world has changed forever; two, adaptation is going to be the key; three, the survivors are going to be the ones who can adapt the quickest; four, professionals are being forced to rise and become leaders; and five, this is a takeover by Mother Nature. So I want to ask you if this is of value to you. If this is useful, please like, share, and comment on this video because we are all in this together. We have to come together to find a solution for our brothers and sisters across the world. See, in these times of difficulty, the only thing that we can control is our thoughts, our actions, and our conversations. See, because you did nothing to cause this problem, you have nothing to do with the breakout of this pandemic, and you have nothing to do with the governments that are deciding policies of isolation and lockdown. But yet, you are impacted by what is happening, in some way or the other. So our thoughts must be thoughts that serve us and make us more united and stronger. Our actions must be actions that reach out to our brothers and sisters globally and bring that helping hand of action to them. And our conversations must be ones that spread the message of hope and brotherhood to everyone around the planet. And I can tell you that we have faced this before. I mean, we have faced situations of crises before. I remember when I was in college in the United States, I faced the fallout of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And again, much like what we are facing right now, I had nothing to do with the terrorist attacks, but it was something that impacted me greatly. All the job offers that I had were rescinded. All those offers were cancelled and withdrawn because it was a time of great confusion and unnecessary suffering for Americans. And naturally, at that time of confusion, no one wanted to interview or meet with a student of brown skin. And there's no blame here. It truly was a time of great confusion. Nobody wanted to offer me a job at that time. So this made me tremendously anxious. I felt helpless. I went into depression because suddenly all hope of my future had been taken away from me. But before I get to the industries that will come out gaining or losing, I want to share something with you. I want to share the secret of how to navigate such times where, for no fault of your own, you are having to face such grave difficulty in your lives. And that secret is represented by this simple formula. So please pay very close attention because what I'm about to tell you is the key that will open the lock and help you come out winning despite the problems caused by this global pandemic. So, that simple formula, which was my biggest learning from the September 11th attacks, where I had to face a situation that I did nothing to create, much like how all of us are now facing the coronavirus situation, which we did nothing to create. That simple formula was E plus R equals O. Now, in this formula, E stands for event, and we have no control over the event. The event is not in our jurisdiction. No one wanted to cause this virus pandemic, but it has spread and it is an event that is caused by Mother Nature. See, the virus does not discriminate, it does not care who you are. The virus is doing what it is meant to do. It is meant to spread, and we humans are the vessels through which it propagates itself. So, that is what it is. The event, like I said, is not in our control, but the response to the event, and that is what the R in the formula represents. The response to this event is in our control. And we can already see some countries have responded better than other countries. So, it is our response that helps us determine the outcome. So, we must take the time to understand how we respond as a race to this problem. Scientists all over the world are in a race for the cure, the vaccine, so that the root cause of this infection can be eliminated and that we can restore normalcy and move our focus from containment to elimination. See, I want you to understand that when I faced the 9/11 attacks, the first week, I victimized myself. I went into depression and anxiety because it was too much for me to deal with. But I realized quickly that, if I don't take action, if I don't find the right response, the situation is not going to go away by itself. No magical solution is going to be handed out to me. So I have to find the wisdom, the strength, and the knowledge to choose the right response, and then I have to take action because that is the only thing that is in my control. So when I realized this, I took action. I went to meet every professor that I could, every career counselor that I could, and every connection that I had in industry to find some company that would see value in me as a potential candidate. And it was because I took action that I was steered by one of my professors towards an interview with this company called Damon Worldwide. And that company saw the merit of my abilities and offered me a job and a work visa sponsorship to be able to take up employment in the US. The parallel that I'm drawing is that right now you also have to find the strength, the wisdom and the knowledge of understanding what the right response is for you, and then to take action. Because despite some industries getting affected negatively and some getting affected positively, I can assure you that there are going to be winners who will come out on top in every industry, because that is what they are made of. You know, put another way, this time of crisis in its essence is simply a test of our character, a test that we must pass at the individual level and as a collective people. So the event is not in our control. The only thing we control is the response. And when you add the right response to the event, that is what determines the outcome. And if you choose the right response, then the outcome will be one that is in your favor. Because, see, this time is unprecedented in human history. Yes, we have faced pandemics before, but this is the first time that we are facing a pandemic while we enjoy a level of technology that connects us the way it does. And that technology, like being able to connect with people who are not in the same physical location as us, technology such as the internet and the video calls, the meetings and the conferences that we can hold and conduct, presents a unique opportunity for the few people who will get it and come out winning, because there will be winners in each and every industry. And what I want you to understand is that the winners will be the ones who make the right choices. The winners will be the ones who make the most use of this time, the ones who will furiously upskill themselves so that when this problem does pass, they are at the top of their game and are the ones who have adapted and redefined themselves for the new normal in the best possible way. So, with that, let me get into the industries which will win and which industries will suffer the most as this pandemic changes the world around us. See, I want you to understand that there are three very important criteria that will contribute to the decline of certain industries. One, industries that require congregation of people physically will be in decline. Two, industries that have a disrupted supply chain are going to take a hit. And three, industries where there is a decline in consumption are also going to be hit badly. And there are industries that will face any one or two or all three issues. So, as an example of an industry that is facing a disrupted supply chain, we can look at the oil and gas industry. And this is also an industry that is facing decline in consumption because people have been ordered into lockdown. Nobody's going anywhere. The restaurant industry is facing all three issues where the supply chain has been disrupted and physical congregation, physical coming together of people is not allowed, which is leading to a massive decline in consumption while their expenses are on. So here is my list of industries that will get hit. Retail is going to face problems, as you can understand why. The travel industry is impacted, as is tourism and hospitality. The manufacturing sector is hurting right now, as apart from essential products like sanitizers, masks, and food supplies, this pandemic has brought several items, especially the luxury retail sector, to a complete standstill. Automotive industry and transportation is taking a hit. Live entertainment industry is taking a hit. So all the way from the film industry to the music industry and the concerts that used to happen, all of that is impacted, which also impacts industries like event management. you know Construction and real estate is another sector that will take a hit, but investors know that in difficulty lies opportunity, so please keep that in mind. The logistics industry is facing a unique predicament that while essential supply chains such as food, medicine, water need to be maintained, all non-essential supply chains are operating, at a severely reduced capacity or not at all. So any industry that is subject to physical congregation or a non-essential supply chain or a decline in consumption based on these factors will take a big hit. And industries that are not subject to such dynamics or despite being subject to such dynamics are essential, those industries will thrive. And I classify industries into three categories. One is the essential industries, and the other two industries are industries that ride the trends of not being subject to physical congregation and have a virtual supply chain that will do well at this time. So, essential industries are industries such as healthcare, and the healthcare workers are the true heroes of this disaster. Healthcare will thrive because it is the greatest need of affected people globally. This is an industry where consumption is increasing because they are the only ones who know how to care for people who have contracted the disease or who are at risk of contracting the disease. And even associated industries such as mental health industry, alternative medicine, life sciences, and even spiritual sciences will all see a rise in consumption. Industries that are riding trends such as not having a need for physical congregation will also do well, such as the digital products industry, online coaching and training industry, software, cloud computing, and virtual value industries like gaming and online instruction. These will all do well. Industries that rely on a shift in consumption, such as network marketing and affiliate marketing, will all do well because you don't need to be in the same physical location to conduct this kind of business. These include even industries like alternative energy, home gardening, the stock market, because we all have to generate money somewhere. These are all industries that will do well. Because see, the fixed cost salary structure is giving way to that variable cost salary structure that is slowly taking over. And what this means is that we will move from being a singularly specialized workforce to being a workforce capable of tackling many things. It will give rise to what is known as the gig economy, to freelancing. You get a gig and you get it done. Freelancing for your expertise and applying it across industries. The second thing that I want you to understand in such times, of crisis, is that the quality of demand does not grow. That means companies are not going to be looking for more people to hire because they cannot afford to hire people in huge numbers. See, their income has suffered. So they don't have the resources to hire a lot of people. The inflows have declined or stopped, and the outflow meter is still running, which means they have to get the most value of the money they will spend on things like salaries. So while the quantity of demand will not grow, the quality of demand, or what I call the intensity of demand for the quickest learners and the most adaptable people, will grow massively. People who have a powerful steak. So let me introduce you to this concept of steak. Steak is spelled as STEEKQ. So S for your skills, T for your talents, E for your education, the second E for the power of your experiences, K for your knowledge, and Q for your qualities. People who have a steak that can solve big problems are the ones who will come out winning. And another thing I want you to understand here is that your steak is dependent on your attitude. Your attitude, or as I explained earlier, your ability to choose the right response given this event of the global pandemic, which is not in your control, is what will ensure you come out a winner. So, this is a time for you to work on adding value to your steak and to adding value to your attitude. Because a bad attitude is like a flat tire. Without changing it, you are not going anywhere. So, this is a time to furiously upskill your steak and your attitude. See, if any of this resonated with you, then please come and learn about my system called the APEX methodology. The word APEX, or APEX, in the English language means the highest part or the very tip of something. And I use the word APEX as an acronym, meaning Accelerated Professional Excellence in X, where X is any industry, any job, or career field. I invite you to come and attend my webinar so that you can learn how to make the most of this time and how to come out winning despite the global coronavirus pandemic. I made this video at the request of my students, who are my army of red diamond hunters, because the red diamond is the rarest color diamond of all, just like these premium jobs that are the rarest jobs of all. But they are not rare because they don't exist, they are rare because you don't know where to look for them. And that's part of what my Apex system teaches. They're all action takers who are engaging with this system to take charge of their careers and their lives and come out to find solutions at the individual level and to inspire humanity to find collective solutions to this problem that we are faced with. Please connect with me at the links given below on Facebook and LinkedIn and on YouTube. I welcome every connection and look forward to sharing with you what you can do to emerge a winner in this time of distress. This is a time for serious people, and I'm only looking to connect with people who have understood the ethos of this message in this video. I wish you all the very best, and I'm always here to serve you. Thank you very much for watching.